Primary training stations have certain things in common. They all have lots of primary trainers, yellow perils or yellow fighters as they're sometimes called. They all have instructors. They all have chief flight instructors who've been in the game long enough that their advice should not be taken lightly. And they all have cadets. Some of the cadets are alert and observing, and others are not.
The chances are you'll never have to use your parachute. But when you need it bad. So don't bang it around. Keep it out of any place where you might get some oil, gasoline, or water on it. Water will slow down the chute's opening. Oil, gasoline, or water will rot the silk, and you'd be surprised how fast you come down in a ripped chute. If you want to be sure your chute will open, always inspect the release pin before you go up. Be sure the pin is not bent and the thread loop has not been broken. You've heard all this before. It's being repeated here because with parachutes, one mistake is one too many. Parachute jumping is the one thing in naval aviation that we don't practice because the first time has to be perfect. Be sure your leg straps are tight. There are a number of sopranos around today who used to sing bass until they bailed out with loose leg straps. One thing more, there's just one way to carry a parachute, like this. Not by the risers, not bumping against your legs, but like this. Remember that, will you?
So I said to this dame, I says, come on, babe, let you and I go down to this little place on the corner and get ourselves a drink. It took some talking, but pretty soon...
Hey, look how you've got that chute. That's not the way you're supposed to carry it.
Oh, there's more than one way of carrying a chute. And besides, I'm not going to have to jump.
Okay, so you're not going to have to jump. But think of the next guy that has to use that chute. You heard what the chief flight said. He also said there's no smoking on the line.
He's just eager. Now, as I was saying about this babe, over to my office.
Yes, poor Mac. But maybe he's pretty lucky at that. He might have gotten tangled up in the harness and been dragged into a turning propeller. He might have had the chute on and buckled and been unable to get out of it. Of course, there would have been no trouble at all if Mac had been carrying his chute like this, with the chest strap not buckled and the chute itself held firmly under his left arm, where the ripcord is not likely to get caught on anything and the chute is protected. But Mac here has been on the base for a whole week, so he knows all the answers. At least that's what he thinks. His friend Pete, on the other hand, has just arrived here from pre-flight. In fact, as yet, Pete is entirely unfamiliar with the yellow peril. So at this point, his instructor gives him the word on the pre-flight inspection.
That officer over there is getting ready to go out on a hop. Watch what he does. First, he takes off his parachute and will lay it on the leading edge of the wing, just outboard of the end strut. And he lays it down gently. Why gently?
Yes. Why lay the chute down gently? Mac here can answer that question. Just watch him for a moment. Wait till the chief flight hears about this.
That's the cap to the oil tank he's taking off now. Sometimes there's a metal dipstick attached to the inside of the oil cap. If not, you should be able to see the surface of the oil by looking carefully. If you can't see it, call the plane captain.
Of course, if you're like our friend Mac here, maybe you have unlimited faith in your plane captain, which is all right up to a point. But for Mac, it's just too much bother to check everything. So he skips the oil tank. But one day, Mac, old boy, you'll be up there, solo maybe, and things will happen. Yes, airplanes are funny that way. They won't run without oil.
Also, it's a good idea to see that the cap to the oil tank is on tight. Otherwise, you're liable to find yourself in the airplane well oiled in a very literal sense. Inspect fittings on the elevator and the rudder. Turn the rudder for a look at the rudder horn, first on one side and then on the other.
Of course, some pilots like Mac here seem to doubt the importance of inspecting such items as the rudder horn. One small fact seems to have missed friend Mac. An airplane is neither useful nor healthy unless all the controls are in good working order. The rudder horn is in an exposed position. Occasionally, it gets broken. And here's an example of what can happen. Friend Mac, who uses his brakes too much in taxiing anyway, wouldn't notice it even if he had no rudder control at all. All is well, thinks Mac. He pulls around into the takeoff position, locks his tail wheel, and gives her the gun. As we were saying, an airplane isn't very useful or very healthy unless all the controls are in good working order.
After you fasten the seat belt, draw up on the straps at the side until the belt is tight enough to keep you in the plane, but not too tight for comfort.
Yes, sir. Mighty important, that seat belt. It even saves lives on the ground. once Mac has done something right, his seat belt is securely fastened.
Gas off, switch off.
Leave it to Mac. If this ever happens to you, leave your seat belt fastened until someone comes out to let you down gently.
This handle operates the engine fire extinguisher. It releases a bottle of CO2 in the engine, which will put out most engine fires. But don't pull it just to see what'll happen.
In fact, you won't need to pull it just to see what happens, because we're going to show you. The inimitable Mac will demonstrate.
Engine fire extinguisher. I wonder how it works. I bet you it's out of commission. Let's see. You just pull the handle.
The engine will usually quit when you use the engine fire extinguisher. You make an emergency landing, perhaps in somebody's cornfield. You phone in, and you have some very embarrassing explaining to do. There's no discredit attached to an emergency landing, you understand, provided it's unavoidable. But emergencies such as this one are a needless risk of the student's life and of Navy equipment.
Then you're ready to test your mag. First, look around behind you. Be sure the area is clear.
Yes, and this is one of the many ways in which our friend Mac wins friends and influences people.
So you'll find it profitable to study the pilot's handbook for whichever model you will be flying. And remember that the airplane is a delicate instrument. Whether in the air or on the ground, treat it with care and respect.